Hey everyone, and welcome to Think Copilot. My name is Garry Trinder. I'm a developer advocate at Microsoft, focusing on Microsoft 365. And I have with me today Waldek.
Hey everybody, my name is Waldek, and I am also a developer advocate at Microsoft, focusing on Microsoft 365.
And with us both today, we have our esteemed guest. We have Paolo. Paolo, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you guys. I'm Paolo Pialorsi. I work in a company of my own called PiaSys.com as a solution architect. My company is based in Italy and in the US, and we do provide consulting services to customer willing to customize Microsoft 365 from different point of view, so SharePoint, Teams, Viva Connections, and of course Copilot nowadays.
Fantastic. So everything covered, like say, including Copilot. So today, yeah, we really wanted to ask you, how are you using Copilot and Microsoft Copilots in your day-to-day work?
Well, I have to say that I've been starting and using Copilot since quite a while ago in GitHub as a GitHub Copilot, and I really loved it, and I still in love with it, because whenever I write my code-based solutions, I shouldn't tell this out loud, but it really improves my time spent on writing code, because I can just be really quick and just define what I want to have, and I will get the code from Copilot, GitHub Copilot, I mean, as well as whenever I am building a solution, I can get hints and suggestions, and so it speeds up my development time heavily. And I would say I couldn't live anymore without it. I'm also using Copilot in Microsoft 365 indeed nowadays, and it is really helpful there as well. Specifically, I use it quite often to recap meetings or to ask Copilot in the Copilot chat to give me my upcoming tasks or action items. Or when I'm traveling, because of my business, I'm traveling quite a lot. And when I'm away from my office for, let's say, 1 week or more, I come back and I can ask Copilot to recap what happened while I was traveling and doing some other stuff. So it is really, really helpful. And it is a great assistant to improve my quality of life.
Great. So have you got any examples of that moment that you started using these tools and you were like, wow, like this is the one thing that I didn't expect. Now I'm hooked. I've got to keep using it. Can you remember that moment?
Well, I have to say, the very first time it happened, it was with GitHub Copilot, when I started writing my code, and I realized that it was learning from me. So it is suggesting me excerpts of code and samples that I have been writing in the past and reusing them. So that's really powerful. But also in Copilot for Microsoft 365, I was really amazed the very first time I asked it to recap a meeting. I remember I was in a real meeting with a customer. It was the first time I was using GitHub Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot in a real scenario. And in the meeting, I said to the customer, okay, let's try to recap what we have done so far. And we've got the recap, which was really good. We had the action items and everything else. And even the customer was like, wow, I want to have it too. So it was back in the days, but still impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is often exactly that, right? Like we can talk about it for a long time, but actually seeing it in action is often this, the moment like the light bulb goes off and you're like, wow, that's cool, right? Because it's one thing to talk about it, think about it, read about it, but then another one, seeing it for yourself on your own data.
Yeah, sorry, there are some hiccups every now and then. I'm sorry about that, but I'm connected remotely from the Microsoft 365 conference, and every now and then the bandwidth goes up and down. Sorry about that. So I missed your last sentence, Waldek.
Which maybe, well, so I basically did a recap on like that it's one thing to talk about it and read about it, but another one to seeing it in action for yourself on your own data, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You mentioned that you are at a conference. Let's us use kind of that fact, and like, what is the general perception there? Like, how people are reacting to when you show them Copilot or talk about it?
Well, I see people are really excited about Copilot. Well, as you can imagine, most of the sessions here are about Copilot and AI. So there is a huge interest into this topic. And almost every single topic nowadays has a Copilot section in it. So no matter what you are talking about, no matter what you are watching as a session, but there will be a small or a huge section about what you can do together with Copilot with that specific technology, whether it is SharePoint, Teams, or whatever else. I mean, it's everywhere. And I see a lot of enthusiasm. And even yesterday during the keynote of Jeff Tipper, I was able to see a lot of enthusiasm when they were showing how Copilot can improve the quality of your meetings or can help you to better organize your work day or stuff like that. So yeah, you can really feel the enthusiasm and people willing to start playing with it a lot.
And I guess that also brings us into an interesting point, right? So when you talk to folks who haven't tried it yet, what is kind of your favorite example to show it to them? Like, hey, this is how you can see it in action.
Well, I often show them how you can use it to search or recap content in a chat with someone else, because I don't know what happens to you, but at least for me, it is quite a common scenario. I have a lot of chats open with a lot of people, customers, colleagues, and stuff like that. And I don't always remember everything. Maybe because I'm almost 50 nowadays, so I'm becoming older. But and being able to just ask to Copilot, please remind me what we agreed on last week, or something like, tell me what we shared a couple of weeks ago, or what we decided to do about this specific topic, and it will do the magic for me. And I don't need to scroll off the chart or to search using the regular search that you have in Teams, and which is not always the best search ever, let me say, don't get me wrong, but now using that kind of functionality, so the Copilot capabilities to search this kind of stuff and to being able to quickly find what you're looking for is amazing. And it's something that I often show to my customer to explain them the powerful capabilities of this technology. Yeah.
Great. I'm wondering, you mentioned being away at a conference and then using Copilot to catch up. Is that, having access to Copilots and using it in your day-to-day, has it kind of changed the way that you work? Has it changed your behaviors at all and how you approach things?
I think so, yeah. Well, I have to say, the very first day that it was possible to buy Copilot licenses in EU, I was there and I bought my license because I wanted to have it. You can imagine why. And yes, since then, my way of working has been changed a lot, and I rely a lot on it. And I would say that nowadays I couldn't stay without that kind of technology anymore, because I'm used to that. When there is something that is useful, that improves your quality of life, then you need it. And I mean, I have other tenants where I work. And of course, there is my main tenant, there is my developer tenant, where I bought a Copilot license as well, because reasons I want to work with Copilot there and do my development there and my extensibility solutions in the development tenant. But I also have other tenants where I have accounts without the Copilot license. And it's something that you feel that it is missing there. When you go there, you don't have it, because it is so convenient that you say, well, what is it? Oh, okay, no, I'm not in the official tenant, so I don't have it. Okay.
So does that mean that you need to move the content elsewhere to be able to benefit from it, or do you just like, I might bite the bullet and just get it everywhere that I work?
Well, no. Usually, the main content that I use and I work on is in my main tenant. But for example, when I'm working in some other customers' tenant, just to make an example, it might be that I don't have a Copilot license, so I feel the difference. That's what I was talking about, right?
So maybe that is already like the more the reason to show it to everybody. It's like, hey guys, you're missing this. Check it out. And then it's kind of create the FOMO effect for them, so that you can show them like the benefits that they get based on the kind of your experiences and the examples you've got, and basically show it to them in action, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. At the same time, I have to say that, well, I have a small company, so it was quite easy for me to do the Copilot adoption in my Microsoft 365 tenant. Clearly, in big enterprises, you need to do proper planning, you need to do proper tuning of your security. So I can definitely understand that customers, bigger, of course, bigger than what my business is, need to take some time to do the adoption properly. And that's what we are doing nowadays. So we are helping customers to figure out what are the right steps to do proper adoption of Microsoft 365 Copilot so that they will benefit of it and they will not have any, let me say, side effect of a rushed adoption of Microsoft Copilot,
So Paolo, you mentioned already that, as soon as this became available, you were straight on it. I need that license, and I'm going to use it. So you've kind of seen like from the start to now, right? Have you seen things progress as you've been using it? Have you seen things kind of like maybe you tried it the first few weeks of using it, and then you've tried it recently, and you kind of thought, oh, this is advancing. Have you seen anything like that?
Well, I'm mainly with a developer mindset. So what I like to do the most, not from an end user perspective with Copilot, but from a developer and a solution architect point of view, is to create extensions for Copilot. And I have to say that I've seen a lot of improvements and changes in that area in the last few months. So it is really improving quickly and fast and becoming better and better. So I really feel the power of being able not only to use Copilot by itself, which is already something really powerful, as we were saying before, but being able to connect external systems, to use Copilot Studio and that kind of stuff, in my opinion, makes the real difference for a business willing to benefit of Copilot. Because, of course, it is amazing to being able to do all the stuff like meeting recap of chats, or building lists of items and stuff like that. But when you start using it, you start also feeling that, don't get me wrong, but something is missing. And what is missing is the real-time data coming from external systems. And you start thinking, well, that's great, but it would be even better if I would be able to get also that information from that external system, which is not in Microsoft 365. So how can I do that? And that's what customers are thinking about nowadays. And that's why I'm so interested in the extensibility model of Copilot. And I can clearly see that there is a demand from the customers to being able to do that and to have an integration between Copilot and external systems. And in that area, I see a lot of progress and new capabilities and possibilities coming from Microsoft. Yeah.
So you've been around M365 SharePoint space since forever, I think. Like I cannot remember. I don't remember a year when you weren't around. So
I'll take it as a compliment, right?
Yes, it is. It is.
Or you mean that I'm too old now?
No. So and I lost my train of thought. Thank you. Perfect. Right. No, I think I wanted to ask you about how you've seen the space evolve. Oh yeah, I got it back. The skills you've built over the years, right? Because like you work with SharePoint on-prem, you work with Graph when it even wasn't called Graph. You've seen SharePoint go from on-premises to the cloud. So you learned every single technology extensibility way to do on Microsoft 365. To what extent do you benefit from these skills when you think now about extending Copilots with additional options?
Well, I have to say that from a Copilot extensibility point of view, I don't think you necessarily need to have a huge background in developing Microsoft 365 solution. Of course, if you know how to build a SharePoint extensibility or Viva extensibility or stuff like that, you can, for example, benefit of how you can build adaptive cards, just to make an example, or other stuff like that. But I have to say, and I think it is a positive thing, that you don't need to be a really senior Microsoft 365 developer to become or be a good developer in the area of Copilot. And just to make an example, I used to write customization for Microsoft 365 back in the days using .NET and other technologies. In the last few years using SharePoint Framework and client-side development. But now, for example, if you want to create a connector for Microsoft Graph in order to feed data into the semantic index of Copilot, well, one of my best options is to use Python, which is a language that I've never used before for extending SharePoint Online of Viva. It's just another language that I know, but it becomes really useful and handy to use it when you want to create a graph connector. So even if you don't have a Microsoft 365 background, you can land into the area of extending Copilot. That's my feeling, at least.
I would have never expected that you program in Python.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's a shocker. It's a first.
Yeah, totally. Like I would expect you to like, I know that you build in C#, PowerShell, JavaScript, TypeScript, but Python, like that's a new one. Yes.
Come on, folks. I'm still young inside.
I guess it goes to show, right, in the, maybe Microsoft 365 extensibility, talking about like .NET as a primary language, but it's using Python is kind of, let's say, outside of the Microsoft bubble, if you like, but it's still a language that you can issue requests to Graph and you can still use that, right? It's an open platform. You can use different languages to interact with Microsoft 365. Fantastic. So I'm going to take that as a bit of a shock that we just heard that, but there we go. So let's say, I've never used Copilot before and I want to start using it. What tips would you give someone who's starting to use Copilot from your experience so far?
Well, I would say that, you should start little by little for sure, because of course, if you have a lot of enthusiasm, you will start using Copilot for everything, but it is not necessarily the right choice. So try to understand when it is the right time to use it and when it is not. For example, as I was telling you before, there are scenarios where I use it a lot, like recapping. Also, I forgot to tell you, but I often use also the recap of emails from my mobile device, because another functionality that is really, really powerful, in my opinion, is that when you are on your smartphone and you receive an email from a customer, and maybe it's an email in a long thread, maybe you don't remember everything about that thread again. You can use the summary with Copilot, and very quickly you will get a recap of what was the whole thread, which could have been based on a tens of emails, but you can just get a quick recap of it just by clicking one button. And it is really useful when it's done on a mobile device, in my opinion. But yes, start experimenting with the technology and start looking into it, being curious about the technology, but also careful. And then when you have a good set of, you can start willing to do additional steps like digging into the extensibility model, having real-time data. Even think about that. Often when you want to extend something in Microsoft 365, you start thinking about writing code. Well, in Copilot, you don't necessarily need to write code. And again, I'm a developer, so don't get me wrong, but even if I'm a developer, I often use Copilot Studio to extend Copilot. So if you want to invest and learn how to use Copilot, start from the basics. But then if you are an IT person, start also looking into additional steps that you can do, like, for example, installing a trial of Copilot Studio and start playing with it, because it is really powerful. And without writing real code, you can easily extend Copilot itself and create more useful and powerful solutions, because you can start consuming external data, or you can start interact with metadata of documents in SharePoint Online and stuff like that. So that's what I would suggest you to do. Start from the basic, little by little, but then start looking into the extensibility model, also with the no-code or low-code approach with Copilot Studio.
Do you recall the last prompt you use, or a prompt that you use more than Any other prompt?
Well, the one that I use more than any other prompt is the one to recap the action items that I have for a specific chat or project. The one that I use the last time I used it was actually yesterday when I wanted to have a list of items. It was actually in a project of a customer. I wanted to have a list of items sorted in a specific order and in a table. So I just asked to Copilot to do it for me, and it was able to give me the table as the output based on external data source. Yeah.
I love that last example that you gave, because I think in some cases you're just having a conversation, right? And you're just getting responses back and you're getting some data, and it's just the format that it comes back in is what Copilot is just assuming that's what you want. But once you've got that information, you can transform that, right, and ask for different formats and different responses, and really start to get the power out of that AI to just go, well, you've got the data, give me it in a different shape, and it's done.
Yeah.
The table example I've used a few times, and it's kind of it's like, oh wow, yeah, of course I can do this. Why couldn't I? But maybe at first you don't think that way.
Well, there is a funny thing that I don't know if it is worth sharing, but let me try. A few weeks ago, I had to build a demo for a community call, and it was a demo about building an HR copilot, so a specialized copilot for a hypothetical HR department. The problem was that I also needed to have some HR-related documents to feed my intelligence, my artificial intelligence, and I didn't have any of them because I'm a developer. I'm not an HR person. So I opened Word, and using Copilot in Word, I said, generate a document about the hiring procedures of my company. Then I said, generate another document about how I can improve my career in a company, and so on and so forth. And in a matter of few minutes, I was able to generate something like 10 documents that I stored in my SharePoint Online demo library. Then I created a Copilot Studio extensions to search those specific documents. And literally in something like half an hour or maybe less, I was able to have a custom Copilot generated by Copilot itself. So it's like the chicken and the egg. Of course,
Yeah.
it was for a demo purpose, but it was nice because you feel the power of this technology. Because at the very end, the documents were good. I mean, there were no big issues in those documents. So they were real documents about HR procedures and HR stuff related, you know.
Yeah, I recall the days when we needed to have a document, like you would go to Word, you would type equals, rand, parentheses, and you would get like 3 paragraphs of text. And that's random text that you cannot use. Like, yes, you have a file and that's about it. Whereas now you can have real content, you like English or whatever language you want. You have a content that actually is meaningful. You can use it for search, for LLM scenarios. So this is really great in terms of fidelity, but also the ease that we've got in creating samples, engaging demos and all of that. So that's also a really cool use case.
Yeah, no longer do we need lorem ipsum, right? Which
yes,
is, I think,
or bacon ipsum or whatever.
Whichever flavor of ipsum you like. Yeah. It's interesting you made that point. I did exactly the same thing yesterday, but it was taking Contoso Electronics, right? Everyone knows sample data, and you just take the list of products and say, hey, I want some product specifications or warranty information or repairs. And it just generated it. And now that's going to be in a demo. And I was just thinking by the end of it, actually, this is really quite rich then to share with other people. It's not perfect, but it's good enough. And it's good enough to show a story. And that, I think from your point is like when you're showing the demos, it's part showing the story and making it as real as possible. And things like HR data comes with all sorts of, potential issues of that you shouldn't be using any of that, so it's fake all the way.
I wonder if we are at the stage where a demo pack is just a set of prompts that you run, as opposed to actually the artifacts. Because now a demo pack, like you can have a prompt for an image, for a video, for a document, for a PowerPoint, for whatever you want.
Could be the case. And at the same time, what we do for demos, it can also be done for real life. I mean, for example, Copilot to create the text of email messages for customers. I mean, I'm Italian, she is Italian too. We are not so good on English as you can argue listening to me. And every now and then we need some help from Copilot. And when she wants to write a formal email or a formal letter to a customer, she's using quite heavily Copilot because it helps her to do it quickly and in the right way, because it will check the English, it will provide you proper text. And so it is really useful not only for IT folks like we are, but in general for all the people doing real stuff, because we don't do real stuff, right? We just have fun playing with computers, right?
Yes.
But people doing real stuff in real businesses can benefit of it.
People doing the real work.
Yeah, exactly.
Indeed. Well, all I'm going to say is thank you very much, Paolo, for joining us today, sharing your insights. It's been great talking to you. Again, lots of ideas that you shared that I'm certainly going to try as well and go and experiment a little bit more. And with that, I'd like to say thank you for watching. Thank you, everyone, and bye-bye.